Okay.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sure, not moving around. It's not 6 points. That's what the kids have. Yeah, they're chasing them. Okay.
Commissioner's office is requesting the board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of November 1st, 2016.
I'll make that motion. Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Blair? Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
I think I'm next.
You're next.
You're next. You didn't listen, so I was next. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. In the financials, we have 3 supplemental appropriations. One is for the auditor refund for contracted services. Another one is for community development revolving loan fund. And a final one for the dog warden to have salaries and benefits for the remainder of the year. We had not done a supplemental for them at the beginning of the year. Cash transfer from the engineer's building fund to the note retirement fund, and a cash transfer from the general fund to the note retirement fund for the 2016 principal payment for the human services building. We have a travel encumbrance for JFS, and in the vouchers, we have a payment of $23,476 to Preston Ford for the building department's new vehicle, a payment of $97,128.14 to State of Ohio for Common Police Court, which is to give back unspent SMART grant funds from fiscal years 14 and 15 for the probation department, a payment of $63,009.70 to Concord Road Equipment for engineer's truck, a payment of $36,253 to Braun Corporation for the Transit's new vehicle, and a payment of $24,523.21 to Jack Gibson Construction for water resources for the Russell Park plant upgrades. And we have one final revenue certification for the engineer's office.
Commissioner's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 16-150, itemizing the financials for the meeting of November 8th, 2016.
I'll make that motion. Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Blair?
Aye.
Thank you.
And the Commissioner's office will report on the items approved November 4th, 2016 by the County Administrator, authorized by Resolution 16-097 under the direction and supervision of the County Commissioners, that was amended and approved July 12, 2016 pursuant to ORC 305-30.
So on Friday, November 4th, I accepted on behalf of the board the resignation of Thomas Rudar, who is a part-time driver of transit to be effective November 1st. Also accepted the resignation of Michael Sayer, part-time driver for transit to be effective November 1st, 2016. And concurred with Parkland Township trustees and not requesting a hearing on liquor license requested by Mary C. James Max Tavern and Patio at 16066 Main Market Street, permit number C, NEW 4233366-005.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Morning.
Good morning. Well, I'm here. Hopefully we finally have a part-time recreation and education assistant. We had someone take the position, and then after a couple of days they resigned. So hopefully we found our permanent fit. A young gentleman named Nathan Gorton. He is currently doing online college, and he's spent a lot of time in the Chardon community doing a lot of service for the elderly at local nursing homes, and has helped with different food pantries and whatnot. So this job particularly interested him because of the service that he's done already in the community. So seems like a very nice young man and is very interested in the seniors. He's also a caregiver for his grandparents, so I think he'll be a good fit.
Department on Aging is requesting the board approve hiring Nathan Gorton to the position of part-time recreation and education assistant, number 1005-1, to be effective November 14, 2016, at a rate of $13.57 per hour with a one-year probationary period. This offer of employment is contingent upon successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Kelly, you get to own the session tonight.
You want something to drink or, in case you...
I already had coffee, better not overdo it. I may be
Oh,
bouncing
okay,
off
I
the
didn't know if you
walls.
wanted a glass of water with all the...
Actually, is Jody not here? Oh, Jody's here, so Jody's gonna pick up the
Oh,
the last
well,
one.
she's hiding in the back there.
Yeah. I'm here to do the notice of commencement for Peterson Construction for the ADA entryway project for the airport. Notice of commencement, as you know, it protects the county against any claims or anything put on the property because of, any issues that the contractor may have with the subcontractor. So it protects the county and it protects the contractor as well. So the first one is for the notice of commencement to be filed for Peterson Construction for the airport.
Does this have anything to do with any of the other?
No.
Now, this is like the ADA for the restroom there.
This is the ADA entryway. The restroom, hopefully we'll phase that in, maybe do that next grant. We didn't have enough money to do the restroom and the entryway.
Okay. Are this one and the next one related?
Same grant, different projects, same exact principle. So we can do them together if you'd like. And then the following, in the notice of commencement is for the, for AM Door and Supply Company. That is for the ADA entryways in the county buildings here.
And that includes the Board of Elections?
Yes.
Good.
The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the notice of commencement for Peterson Construction and Contracting for services to be performed at 15421 Old State Road, Middlefield, for the Geauga County Airport ADA entryway project under grant BF151AZ1. And the Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the notice of commencement for AM Door and Supply Company for services to be performed for the Geauga County Buildings and Grounds ADA Door Improvements Project under grant BF151AZ1.
I'll make those motions.
Second?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Hi, Joni.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, so for item 7, 8, and 9, these are all pretty much the same issue. As you know, when we were, through our various programs, granting money to ultimate low-income owners of Habitat properties, we weren't allowed to give the money to Habitat in order to construct the home without having a mortgage to secure it. So the mortgages were all with Habitat. And then when the ultimate owner took ownership, we had a mortgage with their name on it, and we were to cancel the Habitat for Humanity mortgages. So we're going through now and verifying that all of our Habitat mortgages are satisfied, or are canceled. They are not satisfied, and they all say have been satisfied, but it's supposed to say are in place.
So, just explain to me what,
Okay, so, item number 7, it says that the Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and execute satisfaction mortgage for Habitat for Humanity as the mortgage from the ultimate property owner, Brian and Tammy Wendell, in the amount of $25,000 is in place. So none of these mortgages have been satisfied with the ultimate owner.
I'm sorry, I didn't prepare the agenda.
That's
So,
Okay, so with it, what you're saying here is, there's a mortgage, we're proving that there's a mortgage,
No, you're approving that we can cancel the Habitat mortgage.
Right,
Because we have now
got this other
gotten
mortgage
the
in place.
mortgages
It's-
for, that's right.
If it was satisfied, it would have been paid off.
Right, and it's,
And
It's
that's
not
between
paid.
them and Habitat.
no, it's between us and the new
The
ultimate
owner.
Oh, I see.
We're getting
What
Habitat
is
out of
the,
the way.
my bigger concern is what does it say in the contract? And so we're gonna sign a contract, does it say satisfied or in place, is the wording of the
You're
contract?
not saying, you're not signing a contract, you're signing a mortgage release.
Okay, does this reference the wording you just mentioned?
So Joni, do they have an amortization schedule that they're paying on towards to us? And if they've been doing that through even?
They don't
through
make
Habitat?
payments, it just reduces, depending on whether they have a 10-year mortgage or 20-year mortgage, and most of these are 20-year mortgages. So it reduces 4% every year until it reaches 20% that they owe us, and then they will forever owe us the 20%.
So they get 80% free? And who pays for that?
You
You do.
me.
So Joni, relative to the legal documentation, this says satisfaction of mortgage, is that proper?
It is a satisfaction of mortgage for Habitat for Humanity.
So we're okay in
Remortgage.
signing this, this
Yep.
contract is correct, it was reviewed by Laura, all of this paperwork was reviewed by Laura?
Doesn't need, well, I'll have her review it if you want, but it doesn't need to. I did this subtitle search myself and verified that these ultimate mortgages of the ultimate owners are in place. So
And
we have two mortgages on a property
Mhm.
for $25,000. The people only owe us 25. They were a placeholder to secure the money. Habitat for Humanity was a placeholder to secure the money. Then when they found the ultimate owner of the house,
Mhm.
the ultimate owner of the house came in and negotiated and also signed off on a mortgage and promissory note for the same amount that Habitat had. But Habitat doesn't owe us that anymore now.
Oh, I see what you're
Wendell's
saying.
owe us the money
I
now.
see, okay.
But only 20% of it.
Well, depending on how long they stay in.
Yeah, if they sold it beforehand.
Yeah, if they
would
sold
have
it, would
to-
be prorated, right.
Yeah, they would have to pay more. They
It's
would have
just
to
like
pay
the
some.
other.
But relative to the Habitat for Humanity, we are,
You
they
have to
are
release
satisfying
them.
the loan.
They are,
So there is a
they are
set.
being removed because they are no longer the person that owes the money.
Okay, gotcha.
So it will change the action, it would just, you would get rid of the word satisfied and you would put in the phrase put into place.
I just wrote on mine, hey, I scratched out has been satisfied, and she said is in place.
Is in place.
The amount of 25,000 is in
Has
place.
been put into place.
Except they're signing the satisfaction of mortgage.
For Habitat.
For Habitat, not for the property owner.
The has been satisfied relates to them paying us off. Habitat didn't pay us off because they didn't have to pay us off. The arrangement that we have through a separate document with Habitat is that they would sign off on the mortgage until the new owner was selected. See, they don't have their people that are gonna buy the house until they go through a process. But they have to build the house first.
Not really, but.
Well, the problem is, that we're not making a decision on whether they should do this or not. It's already done.
All done.
And we're just trying to clarify that,
And we're not doing it anymore.
You're trying to clarify the county records, that's all you're
that,
trying to do.
right, I mean, I would like it if we got 25 from each of them, but we're gonna get 5. So,
You think?
well, we're gonna get the lot. I mean, if they don't give us, if they don't pay for it, we're gonna at least get a piece of ground back, I think, I don't know.
You won't
You'd
even
be
cover our
surprised how much
administrative
money
costs.
we get
You
back.
know?
Well, we spend enough time on it right here.
Yes.
So you're saying that Wendell's are being dropped from the mortgage, is that what
No.
you're saying?
No.
No.
Habitat is being dropped.
The Habitat's being dropped.
Right,
Okay.
in all 3
I
cases.
don't think this reads how it should read, but I'll do whatever you want, whatever you think it should
It
say.
doesn't read properly, it should say is in place.
Do you wanna wait till next week to
Just to
rewrite?
make sure we got the language right, I mean, can we wait till next week?
Well, a bigger concern, I'm sorry for being
You're signing- you're
kind of
signing
a
a
curmudgeon.
satisfaction
Yeah, we're signing this, and I want to make sure that the legal document is correct.
because it's got this goofy thing where Habitat's in the middle and they're no longer in the middle. Have we done this before?
Many
A
times.
number of times? Okay, so as long as we've done this before, I guess I'm okay signing it, but it just seems like a goofy process.
Well, what I can do, if you want, is bring you a copy of the recorded mortgage for the ultimate owner and show you that the mortgage is in place. Other than that,
I don't have an issue with that, I think that you got your ducks in a row with that, I just don't want us to approve something that isn't correct.
well, you can't say has been satisfied, because
Right.
that's just not,
You know, because there's still a mortgage between us and the
that's right.
current
The
owner.
The ultimate
ultimate
owner.
owner, that's right.
Originally it was with Habitat, now it's transferred. to the
So
ultimate owner.
there was a mortgage though with Habitat at one time?
Mhm.
We actually had a mortgage, so now they've stepped out of the middle.
Well, they
and-
sold the property to the next person that actually took ownership.
So they've
of the
assumed-
So
asset.
why are we still, I mean, I'm sorry for continuing this.
No, it's okay.
But, so we originally set up a mortgage with Habitat.
Right,
Okay, they go and build a house and then
right.
they
Give
turn.
them the money
They
and
turn
they
around and
use it to
flip
build the house.
to some couple.
Well,
Why
no,
are we still involved in
they
that?
don't
then? If
flip
They
it.
sold it.
Because there's still paper on it, they're just acting as a second or a third on it.
yeah.
If it
We're
were
a
to
second.
say, and then, I mean, because this is all pretty fresh for me, but
Yeah.
if this were to say that it was approved that the satisfaction of mortgage for Habitat for Humanity for the property under that grant has been satisfied, and further, the mortgage for the ultimate property owner, Brian and Tammy Wendell, in the amount of $25,000 is now in place.
I don't think the
Has
word
been
satisfied
placed.
should be in there, because satisfied, as far as I'm concerned, means that you paid it. And they haven't satisfied, they've just transferred
So it's been
transferred the
transferred.
note from Habitat
Okay.
to the current owners or new buyers that actually took that and deeded that property, you know, into their name, so.
Yeah, I mean, if this could wait a week, I'd like to transfer it.
Sure, it can wait a week, I don't know what I can bring you. You
Well,
have to tell me what you can bring
we
me.
gotta have this reviewed to make sure the language is exactly right. I mean, if it has to go
Okay.
today, but I'd rather not put.
Doesn't have to go today.
Okay. Why don't we just
Let's
take
just set it aside until next week.
Yeah.
I apologize,
Okay.
we apologize.
8 is the same.
I'm sorry?
8 is the same scenario.
7, 8, and 9 are all the same.
Okay.
For anybody that thinks that we just let stuff go through.
We have 10, you have 10, right?
My turn.
Or 10.
You have 10.
I do.
That's a different.
This one, I'm scared to tell you about this.
Go for it, Joni.
Okay, so this is under a CHIP grant, and normally under a CHIP grant, we give down payment assistance, which also reduces proportionally, and substantial rehabilitation funds to fix the house up, so it's livable, according to state standards. So we did give the down payment assistance to this couple, and before the rehabilitation work could start, they had already found themselves in foreclosure.
Wow.
So, we had the prosecutor issue a stop work order and cancel the contract with the contractor that was supposed to do the work. However, we never canceled the mortgage. And so now I'm just asking the commissioners to sign off on a satisfaction of mortgage for this $19,850. Not because they satisfied the mortgage, because they never got the money. So,
So we're taking a loss.
well, we always say that. No, we didn't give them anything.
We didn't give them the
We didn't
money,
give them anything, but
but
we-
it's on paper that they
Yeah.
had a
How long ago was
mortgage.
this? Because we stopped the CHIP program, how long?
In '05, this was from '01.
Oh, jeez.
So we've had this 19,850 somewhere earning interest and so forth.
No, we
okay.
didn't give them.
No, I
Never
never.
gave them the money.
No, I
Never gave them the
meant,
money.
I didn't mean it, I mean, we've had it in an account.
Here's the deal, you know, we are required to keep all of our mortgages and notes in the treasurer's office,
Mhm.
and the original mortgages and notes. And they just keep Everybody just keeps throwing their mortgages and notes into the treasurer's office. And about 2 months ago, I said, I can't deal with this anymore. We gotta get this organized, we gotta get this straightened out. So I've been going through them one at a time, verifying where they are and what they are, and so this is a result of all that.
Well, it's a good thing to do to clean house, but is there another term that can be used legally? I'm looking at an attorney back there, other than satisfied notes. We're not satisfying a note here, or I don't know if there's another legal term that can be used.
That I don't know.
The problem is that the vehicle that we have for the recorder is that satisfaction of mortgage. So that's why we say it's a satisfaction. But I didn't say that here. So careful not to say that it is a satisfaction of mortgage. But there's no other way to get it removed, to my knowledge, from the docket. What do you think? It is the vehicle.
There's probably some other language other than a satisfaction of mortgage. If the money was never provided to them, so there was never truly in place a transfer of the money, then there's probably some other legal language that could be used other than a satisfaction of mortgage.
It doesn't, it's
because
not
the
legal
money never-
language, it's the form that the recorder will accept. So you either cancel it on the original mortgage, or you use a satisfaction of mortgage sheet. So we're looking for a different document
Yeah,
then.
but I
Joey?
don't deal with real estate that often.
Again, did you talk to Laura about this?
Yeah.
Would you mind, I hate to do this, can you talk to Laura just to see if there's a different, if that is the only vehicle, satisfaction mortgage, then if there's not, Ralph and I were having another conversation about, we don't want to put ourselves in a trick bag or into a difficult situation because we've not, and this is a good opportunity to make sure we do these things properly. If there's another legal vehicle to handle this, we ought to probably confirm that. If there's not, maybe the term satisfaction covers all those bases, in which case we'll just do that. But why don't you just check whether it's worth checking, there's no criticality. I really appreciate the fact that you're cleaning the house because that's important.
Is there a lot of these?
There were quite a few.
But if you could, just check with Lauren, see that we're doing it the right way.
I mean, in this one, if I was, I would say we are canceling the mortgage for these two people at this property because the money was never, they never received the money. So how can we ask them, or how can they satisfy paying us money that we never gave them? But that's not legalese, that's
Yeah,
just.
I mean, I agree, I think, you have Laura review it,
Yeah,
just
so,
again, make sure the language.
Just check and make sure that we're in the, we're using the right legal terminology, because they might have some recourse if we don't use the right legal terminology to come back and say, well, I don't know what their option may be, or if they even care, but why don't you just check, it would help. So, thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry for giving you a hard time this
It's
morning.
okay. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Jerry. That's
Technically,
difficult to
the mortgage
follow.
was satisfied by not taking the money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, how can you satisfy something if you never got it in the first place?
Our item here is just our annual certification to the tax rolls of the sewer and water fees that our customers have not paid over the year. We had about the same, last year we had 590 certifications, this year we have 581. Represents about 8.5% of our total accounts. Of those 581, about 44% of those are complete. They didn't pay a bill at all this year. So
What percentage was it?
about 8.5% of our total accounts. But we
Didn't pay
we're down from our high a couple years ago of 682. So, but this is just so we about 44% of those 581 didn't pay a single bill.
And the total is how much?
The total we're certifying is $425,363, and that includes a $24,000 plus penalty we attached to each of the accounts. Just for 6%.
So what's the next step?
Next step is this will go on their
Tax bill.
taxes, and a majority, about 90 to 95% of that will be paid to us over the next year on the property taxes. We get it eventually, you know.
Is there
It's just an extra step we have to take because the people, those customers don't pay their bill on the bi-monthly basis that we send.
and I want to ask you a question, and I thought I heard the answer to, but I'm not 100% sure. By me not paying you, which is not the case because I don't have your service, but I don't pay my water sewer bill. And then it gets assessed to my property tax bill. So then my property taxes go up by an amount, and I pay that. Is there a deduction on that? When I pay my taxes?
My understanding of the IRS code is that that is a fee, that is not a tax, so you are not permitted to take that as a deduction. Now, what I've heard from people is that, well, when I get my notice from my mortgage company where I've paid my escrow, when I get my notice from the mortgage company, it just says, this amount went to the county for my property taxes. That would include their regular property taxes, this certification, any other assessments, things that probably shouldn't be. And again, I'm not a tax attorney.
Right, and
This is
someone would
me
have
talking to the IRS, because I've questioned this to the IRS before, and they said, no, those are considered, those certifications are actually payments of fees, they're not taxes. So it's not a property, it should not be.
But you
used
gotta
as
get
property
audited
tax
to find
deduction.
that out, and then you can say, well, I didn't know.
Right, because most of them are getting their notice from their mortgage company because their property taxes are paid through their escrow. And the only thing that says on that annual report that they get at tax time is this amount of money was paid to the county for your property taxes.
Yeah, because I always wondered, what's the advantage, I mean, other than you got to keep your money in the bank for that year.
But you're paying a 6% fee
To you.
well, yeah, at the end of the year when we do certification,
Right.
we charge 6%, and plus we have a 6% fee for unpaid bills during the year. So it's, goes up over the time.
The whole purpose of my question is, I'm just wondering why. Because I'm from the school, you get a bill, you pay it. You get a bill, you pay it. If you don't pay the bill, it's because you got a question about it and you deal with that right now, not 12 months in arrears. And I'm baffled why the heck, excuse me, you would let this just go on.
I honestly don't know. I've never really asked our customer. I've never sent anything, asked them, say, why do you let this go to certification? Do you realize you're paying, you're paying a substantial amount in addition? So I don't know that, letting it go to your property taxes, just depending upon your annual income and your tax rate, whether it really benefits you to do that. Some people, it's just one less thing they have to remember to pay and it just goes on to their, property taxes and they pay it that way. There actually are some areas, where the sewer district's a little bit smaller, where they just, their annual sewer fees just automatically get certified every year. They don't actually send out bills because it's not cost effective for them to send out bills. The only problem with that is the money you're expending now that you expect to be getting back from your customers in the next month or two.
Yeah, you're waiting for.
You don't get back for almost a year and a half.
Yeah,
after you
18
use it.
months.
So
my suggestion is just turn their toilet off after 60 days and then they'll pay the bill.
well, and I think that's the reason why the Ohio Revised Code has it set up that if you don't pay your bill, we have the ability to certify to the taxes. It's not that easy to shut off. It is if you have water, but if you just have sewer, it's not easy to shut off somebody's sewer service. We can't go out and take the pump out of their well to keep water from going to the house. They're always going to have that sewer connection. So I think that's the reason why they permit us to do this. Of whatever, if the customers don't pay, then we can certify it to the property taxes. So we at least eventually will get that money, whether it's in the next year when the property taxes are paid, or ultimately if they don't pay at some point when the house sells.
All right, thank you.
Very educational. Thank you, Joe.
Department of of Water Resources is requesting the board approve the submission of a list of delinquent sewer user fees, water fees, tap-in installments, and subsequent certification to the Geauga County Auditor in accordance with ORC 6117.02 and the Geauga County Department of Water Resources Rules and Regulations, Section F.501, in the total amount of $425,363.35, $401,286.55 arrearage, and $24,076.80 penalty.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thanks,
you,
Gary.
Gary.
Good day. Yep, you too.
Okay, the next thing on the list is a resolution honoring one of our Eagle Scouts. This is a pretty great thing. This is coming out of Munson again, that particular troop.
They do a lot. They're pretty aggressive.
They are.
Oh, they are.
I would bet they have more, if the average is like 4% to get Eagle Scout, I would bet that's a lot higher than Munson.
Yeah.
That troop over there is very active.
Yeah.
Well, let me quickly read this and then we'll approve this. This resolution honors Daniel Ilario Takas for achieving Eagle Scout, the highest award of achievement bestowed upon a Boy Scout. Whereas the Boy Scout is a nationally acclaimed organization for training young men to build character, citizenship, and leadership, and whereas each Scout must certify through the ranks in order to earn 21 merit badges, includes first aid, citizenship, nation and world communications, environmental science, fitness, camping, family science, management, emergency preparedness, life-saving, cycling, hiking, and swimming. Served 6 months as a leadership position within the troop, planned and complete a service project, participated in Scoutmaster Conference, and complete an Eagle Scout Board of Review. And whereas the Eagle Scout rank is the highest advancement and accomplishment that only around 5% of all those who start scouting quite attain, or ever attain. And whereas Daniel Ilario Takas is a member of the Boy Scout Troop 99 of this Newberry Township, Geauga County, there must be a little competition going on, and has excelled in his search for knowledge and leadership planning and community support. And whereas Daniel Takas provided leadership at a meeting on campouts and has done an excellent job in all aspects of scouting. And whereas Daniel Takas Eagle Scout project consisted of constructing a prayer path that included a staircase into the woods, a gravel path with a handrail, and stations at St. Helens Church in Newberry. Now therefore it be resolved that the Geauga County Board of Commissioners salutes Daniel Takas for service to his community and to the Boy Scouts of America. Be it further resolved that this resolution become part of the permanent record of the Commissioners of County Commissioners of Geauga County.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and execute Resolution 16-151, honoring Daniel Ilario Takas for achieving Eagle Scout, the highest award bestowed upon a Boy Scout.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, the next item is for us to cancel the Tuesday, December 6th meeting due to winter conference. So if you want to read it.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the board cancel the regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday, December 6, 2016 due to winter conference.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Fine. And then the next one is to establish a replacement meeting Thursday, December 8th.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the board schedule a regular meeting on Thursday, December 8, 2016.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye. into the business?
The only other thing I wanted to bring up to the board, we've gotten a letter from the county airport, Geauga County Airport, regarding the 2016-2017 airport budget. There was $75,000 originally appropriated for this year for projects, and then there's $58,000 that's in the budget as of now, in the tax budget. You haven't permanently actually officially budgeted for next year. And this has always been, when money's been appropriated for the airport, the intent has been that it's going to be used to match mainly federal and sometimes ODOT grants. So say next year's amount, $58,050, that could represent just a 5% match on a project, which means we could be pulling down over $1 million worth of federal and state money for a lot of improvements at the airport. But these projects have to be approved by FAA. What's happened is the airport authority, and this was discussed briefly in their budget hearing, there's a couple projects relating to paving around hangars that the FAA is saying are not really benefiting the airport in general. They're things that help the property that you own and increase the accessibility to the hangars that are there. But the FAA doesn't consider them to be eligible for the federal funding. So the airport authority has asked the board to consider, I think there's about $37,500 left of 2016 money, and then the $58,000 for 17 if you maintain that in your permanent appropriation. And they're just asking that the board would take action to go ahead and let them spend that if projects come up just to do repaving, just spend that dollar for dollar where it wouldn't leverage any money. So I need to get some kind of sense from the board whether you're supportive of just granting that, whether you wanted to wait until you saw a particular project and evaluate at that time, or how you want to handle that.
I think that, from the budget hearings, I think the discussion was, brought up that they had a paving crew working there currently, that they wanted to get stuff, possibly added on to that. And I understand that, my concern from that is that as long as everything was done above boards and legal based on bidding and what needed to be done, that we would be able to support them on doing some improvements. And I think that across the board there was support of that. But there was also a conversation that also went into place of the potential of having some amortized schedule of repay with some of that add-on, because we had specifically brought up the engineer's office that day of how we had used the salt
And the office.
That's the office.
Right,
And they
right.
paid you back,
So-
he paid you back 78%.
Right, so we had talked about that, and so, I'm all supportive of trying to get stuff done, but I think that we gotta have a little bit of structure, we gotta have a little bit of a plan here to go along with the conversation that I think we were all, I'm not speaking for the other two commissioners, but I think that we were all fairly in agreement with to say, we could do this, but let's have a plan. And so I don't really feel comfortable to just say, here's a little gift for you and just spend it where you may, though they're gonna be responsible in making their decisions. I don't think that was what we discussed.
Well, I agree with you completely, because there was a discussion that if we could front them the money to do these projects in a really no-interest loan, I don't even think we talked about, I thought that was a dollar for dollar payback.
Yeah,
It was not a
Right.
78% deal,
Right.
78-22. It was dollar for dollar, but the urgency at that time, which was a month ago, 5 weeks ago, I don't know, when
Yeah.
we had the budget hearing, it's
Yeah.
been a piece back, was because they had a crew there doing this other paving. And they also, there was time constraints. Well, I think that's probably been done. So any savings that would have been realized by having the contractor there and his equipment there, that's probably passed, because they probably pulled up and I'm not in that game, but I know that as soon as the weather starts to turn cold, those asphalt plants will start shutting down, and it's not,
Right, it won't be that easy.
yeah, it's not, I'm sure you'll find somebody who wants to work, but I don't know that we could do that, as you say, with the legal advertising for bids, doing
Well,
this
yeah,
and that.
and we were
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
get clarification. The problem was it was brought up at the budget hearing, and we had a little more advanced notice and gotten the documentation and determined, okay, was what they were asking for part of a larger project that was bid, or was this something that came up at the last minute? They were hoping it could, maybe it would be under the bid threshold.
Well,
And just, we ran out of time to provide a response while that crew was there, and there might be a possibility of saving a little money by having it done.
refresh my memory, so four of us were there. The possibility of a matching grant or something like that is non-existent for what they wanted to do. The FAA said that that strip
Anything within
between the
like 12,
taxiway and the building, whatever that was a driveway or whatever. It was not considered part of a matching fund.
I think it's 12 foot out from the building is considered, well, that's for the benefit of whoever's renting that
Renting
hangar.
the
It's
building.
not really for the benefit of the
And
general
then
folks using the airport.
I know there was some private conversation about when the last time they reviewed or altered their rental
Rental rates?
rates and fee schedule and so on. And I don't think, I'm not saying that they have to pay for that, that the user pay for it all in one lump,
Right.
but over a period of time, that if they haven't raised fees
Yeah, no, I
over a
think
number
that
of
was-
years, it's probably fair to think, they could,
Well, and I think in
Rise
our
a
public
little.
discussion, it was basically stated that, they're probably less than most. So I think that which brings us to the next thing here, that we need to discuss this is, where do we move forward with the airport as far as, just a lot of discussion with the, potential of, we need, we're in a new time, we're in a new era, we've got a lot of things that, a lot of people have, approached us and said, they'd like see some improvements, some changes, some more business-friendly type of atmosphere at the airport, or possibly growing the airport a little bit, with community development and structuring it in a way that makes it more viable for what, we could potentially do to support some of the businesses here locally also. But with that being said, I know that we're in a situation where we've got our renewal coming up, I believe in
The 10-year agreement with the airport authority is up in February of next year.
February of next year, so, I've had an opportunity to discuss with some of the different, people out there as far as, giving their ideas and inputs on the airport, and what the potential strategy of moving forward could be. I think that we really need to explore our options to say, where was the airport 10 years ago when that agreement was signed into place? Where's the airport today, and where would the airport be if we redid that 10 years from now? And I just feel that, perfect examples, when you look at like an airport like Ashtabula County, which has minuscule amount of economic growth compared to a county like Geauga. The per capita of if you look at across the board of what the net worth of that county is compared to Geauga, when you look at the businesses that are not really establishing there, potentially that are establishing here in Geauga, and you look at all this stuff, but then you look at their airport, and they've got, a very, very nice
Beautiful
airport
Yeah.
with, big growth, and I get it, they've got more area than we probably have to work with, but ultimately, there's some things there that, they're, had an opportunity to go down into Steubenville to visit their airport. And I think that there's potentially some options out there that we would be not proactive and not, I don't think it would be a fair and smart decision not to review and evaluate our options. And I think that we need to do that. And I'm not sure, what we need to do as commissioners to move the needle forward on something, whether it's to create an RFP to go out and at least explore this and review our options, or.
Well, the airport authority has had the same FAA consultant for a number of years.
Okay.
And the thought's been, at least I've heard the thought that maybe with considering a different consultant, fresh set of eyes, they might bring something to the table and think of some initiatives that you maybe haven't been considered before. This is the time to think about that. And if you're going to do that, an RFP has to be issued to see who might be interested in offering their services to the county. And this is something that probably the airport authority ought to have some knowledge of. That I think this board is probably the most pro-airport board that I've ever seen since I've been here. I think everybody agrees that it's a great economic development generator, but you have to have a plan and you have to be working with, all the stakeholders have to be committed to the idea that we can maximize this asset for economic development, maybe to a greater extent than it has been in the past. Or, perhaps you talk to other people, they may find that given the physical limitations of the airport that there may be definite limits to how much you can expect reasonably out of that.
I think that's the real question mark is, if you could turn the clock back, you wouldn't have put the airport there.
Because it's physically limited.
Yeah,
It's a
they're only
3,500-foot runway, whereas Ashtabula has a mile
400
runway.
more
Well, when
feet
it
or
used to be
something like
about
that, they can.
44, it was,
Well, that was the Chardon Airport, and that even had less space. But to put it, I think the village of Middlefield actually donated the space, but it's between 608 and 528, and that's the physical limitation. You can only take that runway, I think perhaps I've heard it, maybe to 4,500 feet, which is still, when you talk about light jet aircraft, if they're full of fuel and it's rainy, that still is kind of tight. You need to get to about a mile.
I mean, I guess what my question is, given the constraints, here's what you got. You can make it a little longer, you can put more hangars in, you can do this, you can do that, whatever it is, there's gonna be a threshold. When you get to it, that's it. It can't go any bigger and or any more of a
Unless you
economic
at the
driver.
expense of, say, doing something with 528 or something to allow more room.
Yeah, you'd have to I think you have to acquire more land, and if I remember, the land starts to drop off on that end, and it would be a major renovation.
Just when you start affecting perhaps.
I look
state
at,
highway,
and Patty would be much more someone to talk to about Lost Nation, because she does that as well. But over the years, Lost Nation, I mean, they took big parts of that and made a fitness center out of the hangars, a health club. They did, and they certainly have more businesses and use for that than we do here in Geauga County along Route 2 there in Lake County, and they have a hard time with that thing. I mean, I'm not against this stuff, but the reality is that when do you reach a diminishing return?
I think this is the time to be asking. those
Right,
questions.
and I think that thing opened in 60.
68, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's when it actually opened.
I remember going out there, and my father-in-law would take his plane out there and so on, back in those days.
But that's why, I mean, I think we need to at least weigh our options, and I understand if we're restricted by the limits of the runway. I understand that, but I think that there is also, you know, the potential of some other things, like thank God for, you know, Life Flight being there, because that gave us a huge shot in the arm for income, you know, coming in.
Commissioner Albert's work.
Yeah, you know, so, and, you know, not only that, but it's a benefit to the whole county as far as the safety issue. I know that, you know, they've gone up and looked for, you know, lost kids in the woods, you know what I mean? And they've done a lot of different, they've done a lot of other things other than just transportation of, you know, somebody that's injured. So it's good, but it's, you know, I guess it's just, you know, if we don't look at it, we'll never, we will never see it. And I think that there's just, you know, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of people in aviation themselves that have said, you know, this is, you know, very, you know, concerning airport because of where its proximity is with the residents that we do have in the county that are some business owners that potentially could look to have something there that who knows what it could do. And the other thing too is it's even to stimulate some potential opportunities for, say, Middlefield and Chardon and, you know, areas around here of people, you know, coming to fly in to meet with, you know, like Craftsman is right there in Middlefield, right next door, you know, and if they're, you know, if somebody, who knows who they have come to, you know, to fly in and all the different companies. And the reality is people don't want to deal with the hustle and bustle of, you know, Burke Lakefront Airport and all the TSA issues and all the, so what has happened is in 2001 after 9/11, the entire aviation world changed over in literally 1 hour. The whole aviation world changed. And restrictions started to come in, regulations started to come in, and it made flying of what we knew it completely different than what we know it today. And what has happened is there's a lot of people that time is money. And though aviation took a major hit after 9/11, what did grow was the number of the private charter services, where basically people buy timeshares with different aircraft because they can pull up at 10 o'clock and at 10:30 they're in the air. And whereas going to Burke Lake for Hopkins International Airport, you're waiting for 2.5 hours to get into your plane and then another half hour on the tarmac and then finally you're up. And when you come back, it's the same thing, where people could actually get 2 to 3 different things done in one day of having a charter service. So some of those charter services would qualify into our airport. So what could that do for some of our businesses? Who knows? But if we don't explore that option, we really won't know. And I'm not saying that what we have in place right now is not the thing that works for us now and in the future. But we got to be fair to everybody in this and say, let's really look at this to make an educated decision and say, what options do we really have? And I mean the FAA has, you know, every dollar that you spend on an airline ticket, there's a percentage of that dollar that goes to the FAA for airports into projects such as our county airport. And why not take advantage of all the Geauga County residents that fly every day to bring that money back into the county to serve us here too, and to be able to just grow something that could just be of a benefit. It's always nice to be able to hang your hat on a nice airport, to be able to say we've got something that is good. And then the other thing too is with our youth programs, you know, I think that's the biggest thing too is that I think that if we have a good airport, you have the ability then of having some opportunity for Geauga counties and surrounding counties, you know, kids to get involved in aviation, whether they take it as being a regular airline pilot, whether they take it as being a private pilot, or whether they take it to further endeavor their abilities into the military, whatever it is. But we could we kind of have that opportunity too, to have that available. And
Yeah, we do have, I mean, that EAA that's out there is a very active chapter, and I think they actively recruit young people.
Yeah.
We went to that, Skip and I were at that airport days and seeing all the things that are going on there at Hangar. There's a lot of good stuff
Yeah.
going on there as it is right now.
Yeah, and I think we could only continue to build on that, you know, and it would be nice to be able to have something for the kids too down the road, to have a base, to be able to start that growth and development and education. And I think that we need to really, just sit down and really, draw something up. I think we need to contact our airport board too and get them on board. This is not anything to counter anything that they're doing.
Right.
It's just we need to really evaluate things in a very forward-thinking manner.
It would seem like this would be the time, if the board is interested in encouraging, working with the airport authority to consider putting something out for a consultant, just to see, okay, with a fresh set of eyes, give us a new perspective, or, I mean, I'm sure the guy, the person we have right now is very capable, but is there an opportunity there? So I
Sure.
don't know if anybody on the board wants to take the lead and have that conversation, if you want me to handle it, how do you want to?
I mean, however you see fit, and I defer to the other two commissioners too, of what you guys wanna do, but I would, be willing to, move forward to get something out there to be able to at least, here's the thing, it's not gonna cost us anything. It's gonna basically be sitting down with people and talking to people, and it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime, it doesn't cost us nothing but our time, which is what we do.
The cost, if you put on an RFP, it's the cost of putting out that ad.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we're interested in seeing if anybody would like to come in and work with us and be considered as an airport consultant. But that's something I think you want to have that conversation with the airport authority, so everybody's on the same
Sure.
page, and say, yeah, first set of eyes is always a good thing.
Yeah.
I see two questions. One is the physical plan. What can be done to enlarge, improve, whatever, the physical plan? And the second, and maybe the more realistic, is the operation of and renovation of the current facility. How can we improve services that are provided there? How can we just make it more user-friendly for what we can use what's there for? I mean, it's not like we're gonna add 1,000 or 1,500 feet to the runway. That's not gonna happen, for a number of reasons. And I wanna be very careful, and I haven't been out there in a number of years. My deal doesn't go like it used to. I used to be out there just about every week back in the 70s. What's there? Is there a place to eat there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they have
That's
little
one of
air?
the things they talked about, things that would bring the general public in there more, whether it would be encouraging like a restaurant on the property so people would be out there seeing it, whether you see, what I've seen is there, some counties have like their economic development department is based at the airport.
Well,
And that's-
Steubenville has it like
Yeah,
that too.
exactly. So that's kind of like putting a statement out there in front of everything that we consider aviation a big part of the
They
overall
have-
economic development process.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they had some special event fly-in type things, like a pancake breakfast or something like that occasionally. I can remember, again, going back, where on Sunday mornings, my father-in-law would go over to, kept it usually in the summer at Horn, in Chagrin, and then as the winter came, it was at Richmond Road, and Sunday morning, he would get in the plane with someone, whoever, and they'd fly to some little podunk airport somewhere, and they'd have breakfast at a little, there was actually, it wasn't It wasn't a designated fundraiser type, we're gonna have a big fly-in. They would just go and they'd go up into Pennsylvania or up into New York and they'd go have lunch or breakfast or dinner, and then they would fly back. And if we don't have that capability, I mean, and they're not gonna fly in and then rent a car and go to Mary Yoder's. They wanna fly in, park the plane and walk across the
We have a
tarmac.
courtesy car there, but I mean, yeah, the idea of creating some things where this becomes a common destination for people, fun places to come and visit, that's gonna drive economic activity, in Geauga County as well.
So let me ask you, so what do we need to do? Let's not let this flame just die out.
Right.
Let's just, so, Skip, I haven't heard from you what your position or what your thought process is on this, but I guess what I would say is, what do we need to do to just, we're in November right now, to look at options of what, what do we need to do to try to get this thing just moved forward, to just figure out what we gotta do?
So, let me weigh in. I've been pretty quiet through this whole discussion.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I'm very supportive of the conversation we've been having. Two separate issues. First of all, relative to the dollars that you talked about during the breakout. I think that the airport authority, the existing airport board and so forth, needs to be a little better at bringing us plans. And with the payouts and everything, fully recognize how much is this gonna cost, is there grant dollars and so on and so forth. So relative to the aprons that didn't get done and so forth, I was waiting to hear from them, what's it gonna cost? Because we're very supportive of improvements to the airport. We don't wanna hurt ourselves longer term by doing away with the grant match. But in shorter term, if it was a $30,000 thing, we're putting aprons around the hangars, okay, let's invest in that, if we can see the case. So relative to projects, I'd rather have them be project oriented rather than just give them a blank check or spend the monies we're giving you. So if they come to us with projects and if it makes sense, they can give us the case, then I think that we're gonna be very supportive of the airport. Relative to the bigger picture, we flew down to Jefferson County. I mean, there's already been some talk individually between us, but individually thinking about the airport, where it can go. I have a background in aviation as an air traffic controller and a pilot and so forth, so I have a unique or a perspective on all of that. I do think that the airport has limitations, but it's not maximized. It certainly can be, we can maximize its potential, recognizing what we'll have at the end of that. And 4,000 feet runway is kind of like the magic number relative to light jet aircraft. We can get light jet aircraft in and out at about 4,000 feet. 4,500 is a little bit of slack, so I think we'd be good with that. But we do need to have somebody to come in here, fresh set eyes, as you had said, I think. And we've talked to a couple of people about that. I know that you and I were involved in a conference with a guy, and he shared some of his thoughts. I think that to move this off the nut a little bit is, let's put an RFP out there. Let's find out what it would cost us to have somebody, an expert, to come in here with, new thoughts. This is what we've got. What can it be? And so we can lay out a case to the public. So for whatever we do, it makes sense to the public. And if we can get the grant dollars, I know in Ashtabula they were very successful at getting grant dollars to help build out their airport. What is the potential for us to go out and get help? We all pay our tax dollars into a system to get some of that money back. The only concern that I have, the only cautionary, we have relative to the airports that I used to fly in and out of, the ones that I go to, we have a very active airport. We got a very active EAA, we got a very active glider group out there. We've got the Metaflight that's out there. We need to protect what we've got while we're looking to expand and to change. Hypothetically, put a restaurant out there. When I owned an airplane, I used to fly all over the place for $50 hamburgers. And so while I go in for that, whatever, I'd fly someplace, get the fleet card, go downtown, go shopping. Pilots do that kind of stuff. They've got a huge investment in their aircraft, and they're looking for places to go. Mittelfield's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you got great restaurants, you got scenery, you've got all kinds of things for people to fly into
Great
and
shopping.
enjoy. got good shopping, you know, supporting goods, you can load up the airplane with, you know, all kinds of guns and stuff, I mean, just fantastic opportunity. So I do think that there's opportunity we're not tapping there, and I'd like to see us move forward with some sort of, and I think it's just a matter of, let's put something together, pass a resolution to put an RFP down.
The other
Well,
issue,
let me, with the board's permission, I will contact Patty and give her the response she was looking for on the request, and then suggest that based on the conversation today, this board would like to move forward with an RFP to just look at the possibility of other airport consultants, along with the one we have now.
I mean, every 10 years, we ought to be stepping back and saying, okay, we've done the same
Yeah.
thing for 10
Well,
years.
right.
Do you think maybe we ought to?
Yeah, I just don't want I don't want the board to think that this board is somehow.
Oh, no,
No,
they've done a great job.
the other issue that I have, and this is not to slight anybody on the board, certainly Patty and some of the other folks are very straightforward when they come here. But if memory serves me correct, every time they come here, they have a specific, we have this issue, we have that issue, we have something else. I don't, and you can refresh my memory, I don't remember them ever coming with a vision.
Well, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. You know, what do you people that use this facility, what would, in a perfect world, what would you like to see here? What would you like to see improved? And then that gives sort of a roadmap to ask a consultant. What's the viability of us doing this? Or, you know, is there a what's the return on investment for doing something that for the most part at this table, well, that sounds good, or we'd be guessing, and because it's not our deal. You know,
Well, and I'd like to hear about what the community would like. We got all kinds of industry and stuff around there. You know, it's like all of us get into a rut, and the longer we stay in that rut, the deeper that rut gets, and pretty soon you can't see over the edges anymore. You can't see what the opportunities or what the possibilities are that are out there.
Well, I know that
So,
I talked to the mayor in Middlefield, Ben Gardick, and you know, I actually had talked to him originally when we went for a meeting that they had the board meeting with one of the consultants that had done a presentation there, and you know, I mean, he's very supportive too, you know, and he's very much in the same, you know, and he's kind of in a unique position because he comes from the business world. He worked for one of the companies, I can't remember what the name of it is.
Dylan, isn't it?
Dylan?
I thought he, wasn't he?
Maybe that is it. But anyway, so he comes from that. He comes from the manufacturing area also, so he understands, you know, the whole part of that business part of it. But also as the mayor and talking with a lot of the businesses, and he's done a good job in trying to grow some of those companies out there. That he was very supportive, you know, to say whatever you need to have help from Middlefield, you know, whatever we can do to try to help you with this, you know. He's a visionary guy. He's good too, you know, and I think that we don't want to leave the village out. I don't think we want to leave Middlefield Township out because we're dealing with, you know, those two venues. But I think that everybody there wants a good job and everybody wants to be proud of having a nice airport. And I think that there's some stuff that's totally underutilized that airport could benefit a lot of the local businesses. And I'm taking myself out of this as far as, you know, I have a business in Middlefield, and my opponent made it sound like I'm pushing the airport to support my business. Look, you know, that's very far stretched, so I'm taking myself out of it. I'm talking about businesses that provide jobs for people every day, to be able to bring into the factories, to be able to bring into, you know, the actual creation of and stimulating jobs and
Well, you want
businesses.
you want these corporate parents
Right.
like Masco that owns Craftmade to say, wow, this is a great place.
Right.
Let's do more in Middlefield.
Right, it's not the weekend guy that comes in for a burger and comes to my shop and buys a $2 fishing lure. That's not that's not the point of this. The point is we have the ability of taking something possibly to the next level and really making it work for us, you know, and being able to produce results, you know, that affect our people here in the
Let me
county.
speak to that a little bit. I mean, I know that you're sensitive, and I'm not shy about saying what a great business you've got and how you know, you're benefiting Middlefield through the businesses that, you know, separate. You've always been really good at separating your business from the commissioner seat that you hold. But, you know, I owned an airplane for a long time, and I used to fly all over the place. I look at various airports. Geauga, they've got a huge investment in an airport.
And
it's
they have
not-
a lot of debt, too.
And they've got a huge debt, and they're not very active. It's not been successful. We have, and I can mention a whole half a dozen airports, some of which are successful, some of which are not. I think the airport that we have, in combination with Middlefield and just the whole equation, I think we have a real opportunity here for something good. If we, you know, and we're never gonna be a 6,000-foot corporate commercial airplanes going in and out. That's not where we're gonna be probably, is my guess. But we can have aircraft that go in and out of that support our local industry, that support our businesses there, that do fly in for a hamburger on weekends. It's all part of the same equation. It just makes for a healthy, vibrant airport. When you get diversity going in and out of the airport, we got the AA club, we got the glider club. That diversity will make it a healthier environment there. But we really need to get somebody in here that does this day in and day out, that can give us the right, you know, context, given what we've got. We've got limitations, we have property limitations, and so on and so forth. So what can we be, how can we maximize that, and make, you know, maybe take this to the next step? And so that would start with, let's talk.
Let me reach out to Patty, so the authority knows of your interest in putting out an RFP, and then see how they respond back.
Yeah, I just want the people that are there to understand we're not being negative toward them or cutting them off at the knees.
Not at all.
And the other issue that always comes before me at this table is, depending on what day it is and who you talk to, but we'll just go with 95,000 residents in the county. And we need to ensure that when we spend money on something, that we're not, you know, laser focused in on one thing that gets a disproportionate amount of money when there are 75,000 of those 95,000 people have no interest in the airport or fly in or anything else. So you have to make your case that
Sure.
that says what you want. The other, and I hesitate bringing this up because I really don't want to aggravate anybody, but at the budget meeting, I remember, because I challenged you about it later, I asked, well, has there ever been a study of the use of the airport, or how much money it brings in and so on? I don't know.
Well,
Wasn't it like $10 million? There was
yeah.
some astronomical number, and I'm like, what? You know, it brings in $10 million worth of commerce to the county, and I'm like,
Right, I know.
and I went over and asked community development, and I asked a couple other people, I said, where do these numbers and studies come from? I'm not disputing it, I just want it verified.
Well, it's like even the Department of Tourism, you know,
Same thing.
the same thing, they
Yeah.
can say they've instilled, I don't know, $100 million or whatever, they, you know.
Put those two
it's
together,
like-
we'd be generating about
Yeah.
$30 million a year in sales tax.
Yeah.
It's just
We're more at
everybody wants to,
14, so.
you know, it's like, I wanna take credit for the sunshine today, but I can't, you know, I'd like to tell you that I did, but and ultimately, I just think that, you know, there's, you know, it's hard to really put your finger on that.
Yeah, I
Yes,
just,
it
I
is.
mean, kind of like, I would love it to have a number that's plus or minus 20% of reality. You know, I don't
And
know.
it's hard, you know, but what I can tell you though, that you truly could gauge is once, you know, like, you take an airport, like for example, Cuyahoga County Airport. They've got a pretty aggressive business plan with people. Eaton Corporation is there. Progressive had their aircraft there. There was a lot of number of,
Swagelok. Yeah.
so they had a lot of, they've got, where if you really look at what that is continuously generating as far as bringing in clients and bringing in, different projects that could be done because of the ability of the convenience of people coming in and coming out of the different areas. I know there's a company in Monroe, I've got a good friend of mine that's got a metal fabrication coatings company that's a multi-million dollar company. And he flies from one location to another location to another location because there are certain jobs that he basically is bringing back to Menor. And one of the conversations that we had was exactly this, is that he wishes that there were more airports closer to other venues of business, because that business is coming back to Menor because of the fact that he's flying out of Lost Nation Airport, and he flies out to these locations, and he acquires these jobs, signs these jobs on, or brings those people that can land there, and within 15 minutes they are at his factory. But what he said is the biggest thing of having a good airport near you and a good airport to be able to get to those jobs. He goes, how much other work is out there that is never touched and never brought back into Lake County, where he's at there for Menor, that he could have been able to get because of the fact that it's just inaccessible and it's not convenient.
Doesn't have the time to cover it.
And it's, so I think that, there's no real easy way to gauge that, that data, but I think on the manufacturing side, I think people could really look and say, and we got a unique thing here in Geauga County. I know like that Geauga Growth Partnership, you read all the time, stuff that they post out there, is that we've got a good workforce that's in this county, that if we can continue to grow that, we'll only be able to sustain a lot of those companies too, because of the fact that we have some established workforce that's not, a secondary class of workforce that doesn't want to work. It's a good group of people, So, all right. Well, then, if you want to make that call,
I'll reach out to Patty, and we'll go from there.
okay.
All right. Excellent.
Anything else? If not,
Move to adjourn.
very good.
Thank you for coming.
Good job.